I need to say once again that the Earth is a living being and can never be counted on for its sustainability. See the continent of Pangaea, for example. 200 million years ago, the Earth was nothing like today, and all the land and oceans changed overall. Don't think these changes are over. Now, when you watch this video, mysterious changes are happening, but you don't notice it. Today we want to review a major change that is already taking place: the continent of Africa. Do you see this huge continent standing very firmly between two oceans? But we don't realize at all that the state of the continent is not good at all and is being split in two. A few years ago, a massive crack was found in the desert of Kenya. It is like the ground is cracking. This event made a lot of noise in the world, among geologists and scientists, of course. Many of them went to Kenya to see what was happening. After a while, scientists figured out a reason for this gap. This gap happened exactly between the two plates of the Earth, the East African Rift and the main African Rift. Rifts in geology are referred to as plates that are breaking apart. They have concluded that this distance of several kilometers is the beginning of the separation of the Earth's two crusts from each other. It means that these two pages that were stuck together for tens of millions of years now want to fall apart. Both East African rifts suggest this is a new page, because they didn't know the two pages are apart and the continent of Africa is two pieces. But it is now clear that Africa is divided in two. Geologists say there is always the possibility of new plates, and this is one of those new plates. You should know, of course, that the East African continent is one big page, starting in Somalia and continuing as far east as South Africa. That is, a plate that is about 3,000 kilometers long. Scientists say that the two plates have been breaking apart for years, and the reason the crack appeared suddenly is that in recent years, heavy rains have rained in the area, and the water has made the rift more open, making it easier for us to understand what is going on here. Another sign of the separation of these two plates is that all the surrounding volcanoes became more active. When the rift is created, the Earth crust empties at the same points, creating a large valley. A valley that ends in molten material. That is, these two pages cannot be returned to their original place in any way. Perhaps with multi-million-year changes, the Earth will return to its former place. But it is certainly not possible for the next 1 or 2 million years. Molten material is temporarily present at the ends of these rifts, because if this gap becomes more open, eventually ocean's water will make its way into it, and ocean water will fill the gap. So, a sea is formed that grows wider by the day, and, of course, Africa also becomes two pieces. It is interesting to know that about 138 million years ago, South America likewise separated from Africa, and the quiet calm of the small water between them formed the Atlantic Ocean. Currently, the process of separating these two pieces is between 2.5 and 5 centimeters per year. Of course, the number varies in different places. Usually there are many earthquakes when the Earth's crust separates in this way, but so far there have been no earthquakes in East Africa. But instead, volcanoes have become very active. The exact time of East Africa separation is unclear, but many scientists believe that The process dates back millions of years, and the first valley to form is a valley in Ethiopia. Of course, don't think a few years from now Africa will be split in two. This is one of the historical changes of the Earth that spans millions of years. We are now witnessing at the beginning of a phenomenon that will perhaps be completed in about 5 million years. Scientists have fallen in love with the phenomenon because it is the first time new generation scientists can watch something like this live. They are watching the formation of a giant island for the first time, an island that separates about 10 countries from the African continent. Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, Tanzania, Malawi and Mozambique, Somalia and South Africa. Scientists don't know, of course, whether this giant island will remain a piece or split into smaller pieces, such as Indonesia. But they are confident that the plate will move towards the Indian Ocean. Before we go back to the video, I urge you to support us with your likes and comments on this video, as well as by subscribing to the Dark Fact channel. The densely populated areas through which the rift runs will be in trouble. It is actually getting blanked under these spots. Although the process is very slow and time-consuming, you cannot feel safe in a building located near this rift, because the same piece might suddenly collapse. The rift has not yet reached its dangerous days, scientists say, because neither earthquakes nor volcanoes have begun their activity yet. That is why these areas are becoming more dangerous moment by moment. It is like having a house built right on a fault. At any moment this fault may move and the house will collapse. Some of you may say that this happens everywhere. In many places the earth is subsiding, but the story of this rift is different from theirs. Subsidence happens for a variety of reasons. There is a natural reason that acid rain enters the soil and causes the soil to poop, and suddenly an area collapses. But this is normal. And natural causes caused by humans are much more dangerous. Indiscriminate harvesting of groundwater by humans is the biggest reason for these subsidence, because the water level drops and their vacancies remains. These places will eventually collapse. Subsidence is often seen in areas where wastewater enters the soil, because sewage also enters the ground. It gradually washes away the soil and creates voids, like the strange thing that happened to the National Covered Museum in Michigan. The museum where all generations of General Motors were housed collapsed at once and everything was ruined. The middle of the museum became the valley. The collapse of the General Motors Museum was very strange because there was no sewage in that area and groundwater harvesting was not carried out. After investigating, the geologists found that underneath this museum there was an ancient cave. That means there was a natural vacuum there when suddenly the roof collapsed. So, fissure and subsidence are not one. They are similar, but they don't happen for the same reasons. Do you think it is possible to the continent of Europe or Asia to be divided into two halves?